But in a world that broadcasts everything, privacy has become the ultimate luxury. Everyone wants to be seen, to be heard, to be validated. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you protected your peace instead of proving your point? For there's a quiet strength in not sharing everything. The most powerful lives are not loud, they are focused. And sometimes, the people who speak the least have the most going on. That's the paradox. The more you revealed, the more people can manipulate. The more you reserve, the more you mystify. And trust me, mystery builds respect faster than oversharing ever will. Episode today, I want to talk to you about a secret power of privacy and how in silence you can become your most authentic, most grounded, and most unstoppable self. The less they know, the less they control. It's a principle that sounds simple on the surface, but it holds a deep wisdom that has the power to change the way we live. In today's world, where social media encourages constant sharing, where everyone wants to post what they ate, where they traveled, the house, who they love, and what they are dreaming of, it's become rare to find someone who is selective with their words, who guards this like treasure, and who treats towards their personal life with the reverence it truly deserves. But imagine this, if people do not know where your next step is, they can't put obstacle in your way. If they don't know your pain, they can't manipulate it. And if they don't know your dream, they can't sabotage it. We often fuse connection with disclosure. We believe that in order to be understood or loved, we must tell everything. But the truth is, not every story is meant for every ear. Not every goal is meant for every audience. And not every emotion needs a platform. Sometimes, what's sacred must be protected. Think about the most powerful things in life. Diamonds are hidden in mines. Gold is buried deep in the earth. The roots of a tree are beneath the surface. Privacy isn't secrecy. Privacy is depth. It's a choice to go inward rather than outward, to build quietly instead of broadcast loudly. Let's take an example. Imagine someone who has been working on a new business idea. They're excited. It's innovative. A house, it's something that could change their life. Now, if they start telling everyone around them, there will be opinions. Some will doubt them. Others may copy them. A few might even discourage them. Not because they are bad people, but because they can't see the vision clearly the way the dreamer does. And slowly, that person begins to shrink their dream. Not because the dream was impossible, but because too many voices interfered before the dream could even walk. Now imagine they had stayed quiet, focused, disciplined, shared only with those who truly maps a mentored, had to win a trusted friend. That dream could have grown, but succeeded because silence gave it space. The less others know about your plans, your intentions, your struggles, the more power you retain over your own life. You no longer live for applause. You no longer act out of pressure to impress. You simply do what you must, with quiet strength and steady determination. Privacy gives you back your control. It gives you emotional independence. You don't need like or a comment to validate your existence. you begin to realize that your worth is not in how many people know about your life, it's in how peacefully, anxious, and purposefully you live. Let's take another example, relationships. When people are getting to know each other, there's magic in mystery, is it? But if in the first, every past hurt, every insecurity, every expectation is laid out like a presentation, the curiosity dies, the relationship becomes heavy before it even begins. But if they reveal themselves layer by layer, snores it, with a trine, with intention, it builds something sacred. The less the world knows about the two of them, the more protected that bond becomes. Not because they are hiding, but because they are preserving it. And it's not just about others. It's about your own inner balance. Every time you speak, your plans too early. You release the energy that was meant to fuel your actions. You feel a false sense of achievement just by talking. And you lose the hunger to work. That's what the great minds, the legends we admire, they speak less and do more. Let their success speak louder than any announcement could make. Privacy is not about being distant or cold. It's about being intentional. It's about knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to reveal and when to retain it, when to engage and when to protect it. You deserve to live a life where you are in charge of your narrative, not the opinions of people who don't walk your path. You deserve to experience the joy of growing in silence, the strength of healing in private, the magic of surprising people not with noise, but with results. So the next time you feel tempted to overshare, ask yourself, what am I trying to prove? Who am I trying to impress? Is it? And what would happen if I just kept this to myself for a little while longer? You'll realize most of the time what you gain in privacy far outweighs what you get from attention, because the less they know, the less they control. And when you reclaim that control, you take the first powerful step toward living a life that's not only free, but deeply, unshakably yours. Your inner peace is sacredly protected like a temple. In a world that constantly demands your attention, your reaction, your opinion, your engagement, protecting your peace isn't peace, just a luxury, it's a necessity. It's nozish to God, add your inner calm, it's survival in a chaotic, noisy, overstimulated world. House snores it. And when you begin to treat your peace as something holy, something worth preserving above all else, you'll notice how differently life begins to feel. You'll stop chasing noise and start find joy in quiet. You'll stop reacting to everything around you and start responding only to what truly matters. Think of it this way. Temple isn't open to just anyone at any time for any reason. There is a sanctity about it. There are boundaries, rules, a sense of sacredness that must be respected. Now imagine your mind, your soul, your emotions thus then temple. Not everyone should have entry. Not every situation should be allowed in it. Not every voice deserves a place in that sacred space. When you start seeing your peace as something holy, you will not give away so easily to arguments, to gossips, to temporary emotions, or to people who don't value you. Imagine you're having a peaceful day. You've taken time in the morning to sit quietly, maybe with a cup of tea, perhaps some soft music playing, or a moment of reflection or prayer. Your mind is calm or snores it. Someone sends a message filled with drama, or someone says something petty or disrespectful. In that moment, you have a choice. You can open the door to your temple and allow that energy in, or you can stand in your peace, smile gently, and choose not to engage. The choice determines how much power you hold. Because real strength isn't how loud you can be in a fight, it's how silent you can remain when you know the battle isn't even worth it. We often waste so much of our inner energy reacting to things that don't deserve us. A rude driver on the road, a passive-aggressive comment from a colleague, a social media post that rubs us the wrong way. These things are distractions designed to pull us out of alignment. But when your peace is sacred, you don't give it away to every minor irritation. You protect. You defend it. You preserve it like you would protect something precious from being broken. Let's look at a daily example. How's it? Picture a woman who has just begun her healing journey. Maybe she's been through emotional trauma or toxic relationships. Every morning she writes in her journal, she meditates, she breathes deeply before starting her day. Her peace is not accidental, it's intentional. But then her phone rings. It's someone who always complains, always drags her into drama, always talks negatively. Now she has a choice. She can answer, be polite, get caught in the spiral and watch her energy drain, or she can say no, not today. Not because she's cruel or indifferent, but because she's protecting something sacred within herself, her peace. The more we value our inner peace, the more we realize we don't need to participate in every argument. We don't need to respond to every insult, snores it. And we definitely don't need to explain ourselves to people committed to misunderstanding us. Peace gives perspective. It allows us to see that most things are not as serious as they seem. That most storms pass if you don't get caught in them. And that silence is often the loudest answer you give. You may notice that the most peaceful people, the ones with perfect lives, in fact, some of them have walked the darkest valleys. But what sets them apart is their ability to sit with themselves, to not be swayed by the opinions of others, and to not let external chaos dictate their internal state. They've learned the art of choosing peace again and again, in every conversation, in every decision, in every moment. So, how do you protect your peace like a temple? You do it by knowing your worth. You do it by setting boundaries. You do it by listening to your intuition. You do it by walking away from anything that costs your sanity. And most importantly, you do it by realizing that your peace is your peace responsibility. No one else will protect it for you. Don't feel guilty for choosing quiet over chaos. Don't apologize for saying no to things that don't serve you. Don't feel pressure to explain why you're distant from drama. The people who respect your boundaries are the ones who deserve a place in your temple. The rest can stand outside. But because your inner peace isn't just about feeling calm, it's about creating a life where you're not constantly in survival mode. How snores it? where you're not always reacting, where you can finally breathe, think clearly, and move with intention. So guard it fiercely. Protect it like a sacred temple. Because once you've tasted peace, chaos will never taste the same again. Silence builds respect, oversharing breaks it. In a time where everything is public, where privacy feels like an old-fashioned idea, where people post every detail of their life, but they even live it, those who choose to remain silent stand out. And that silence, it commands attention. It creates an air of dignity, of depth, of self-control. Because when you don't feel the need to announce your every move, your energy begins to shift inward. You stop trying to impress people and start building something real within yourself. Silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's restraint. It's power that doesn't scream, it exists. Think about the most respected people you know. How snores it? Are they loud? Are they constantly talking about where they are going, and who they with? Most likely not. They are people who know when to speak. But more importantly, they know when to be still. They hear their actions to speak for them. They don't need to say, but look at me. The results of their character do that effortlessly. In fact, people listen more closely when a silent person finally decides to speak. Because their words carry weight. A house snores it. They've proven they don't talk just for the sake of it. So when they say something, it matters. Oversharing, on the other hand, can be a form of insecurity. It often comes from a need to be seen, to be validated, to be understood. And while it's perfectly human to want connection, there is a line. When you constantly reveal every part of your life, your struggles, your dreams, your relationships, your mistakes, you start giving people a blueprint of how to access your weaknesses. You allow people to form opinions before your process is even complete. And some people will use that information not to support you, but to judge you, gossip about you, or even compete with you. Suddenly, the sacred parts of your life become open to contamination. And what was once yours becomes public property, open to analysis and ridicule. Let me share a simple example. Think about someone who starts working out. In the first week, they are excited. They take selfies at the gym, post their routines, their diet plans, but weeks in, they lose motivation. Now, not only are they struggling privately, but they also feel embarrassed because they've made it public. Their journey, instead of being a source of personal growth, becomes a performance they have to keep up. The pressure of being seen becomes heavier than the discipline of actually doing the work. Now contrast this with someone who stays quiet. No posts, no updates. 6 months later, they show up transformed physically and mentally. No announcements, just results. And the impact silence of their silence is far more powerful than any motivational caption could have been. Silence also preserves mystery, and mystery is magnetic. When people can't figure you out, they become curious. When they can't predict your next move, they pay closer attention. The curiosity turns into interest, and the interest often turns into respect. You don't need to broadcast your intentions to earn admiration. In fact, The less people know about your strategy, the more they respect your outcome. Is it? Silence allows you to move in a way that's untraceable, undistracted, and undisturbed. It's the same in relationships. Is it? When you start talking too much about your partner and about your problems, about your disagreements, your opinions that aren't always helpful, people start forming judgments about your relationship based on snapshots and half-truths. But when you keep your relationship sacred, when you deal with issues privately and celebrate your joys without seeking approval, it becomes stronger, does it? Not because nothing going wrong, but because you're mature enough to protect it from the noise, does it? And even spiritually, silence is a pathway to wisdom. The loudest minds are often the most unsettled. But who sit in stillness, who observe, who reflect for they speak, they are the ones who see more clearly. When you stop oversharing, you begin to hear your own voice. You start listening to your intuition instead of public opinion. You begin to feel a quiet confidence that doesn't need the spotlight. And people notice that. They may not say it out loud, but your presence will feel different, does it? Your silence will echo in the minds of others long after you've left the room. There's also a certain grace in not responding to everything. When someone offends you and you don't react, it's not weakness. It's emotional maturity. A house snores it. When someone asks you personal questions and you gently smile without answering, it's self-respect. How's it? When you achieve something great and you choose not to brag, it's humility. All of these come from a place of inner strength. And inner strength doesn't need to prove itself. It just is. So yes, silence builds respect. Not the kind of respect that's demanded, but the kind that's earned slowly, quietly, powerfully. And oversharing, it chips away at that. It dilutes your message. It exposes you too early. It invites the wrong energy into the right spaces. Choose your silence wisely. Let people wonder. Let your progress whisper. Let your peace be the loudest thing about you, because in a world that talks too much, those who know when to stay quiet become unforgettable, does it? Privacy helps you connect with your authentic self. In a world that is constantly trying to tell you who you should be, does it? What you should wear, how you should speak, and what success looks like. Privacy becomes sacred space where you can finally hear your own voice, does it? It's in those moments of solitude away from noise, opinions, comparisons, does it? And distractions that you begin to uncover who you truly are. Not who you pretend to be for acceptance, does it? How it? Not you performers for attention, but the real you, the raw and filtered, deeply human version of you. A house snores it. And that discovery is only possible when you dare to unplug from the outer world long enough to tune into your inner one. A house snores it. Think about it. Every day we are bombarded with other people's thoughts, other people's emotions, does it? Other people's expectations. Scroll through social media for minutes, does it? And you're exposed to hundreds of ideas what beauty is, what success is, what relationships should look like. And slow like does it. Without even realizing it, you begin to shape your choices based on those outside voices. You dress to be liked, us, snores it. You speak to avoid judgment. You set goals not because you want them, but because they look good on paper. How's it? And before long, you're living a life that impresses others but suffocates your soul. That's where privacy comes in. How snores it? When you begin to take time for yourself, not just physically, but emotionally, as hurts. Spiritually, you allow space for truth to surface. You start asking yourself questions you avoided for too long. How snores it? Do I really want? For who I will know is watching. For what brings me joy that has nothing to do with validation. Invalidation answers. How snores it? When they come are liberating. They may surprise you. They may even scare you, but they will be real. Take, for example, someone who always wanted to pursue in music, but ended up in a corporate job because that's what their family expected. Or snores it. They smile at work, they earn the outside, and on the looks perfect. But inside something is missing. Now, if that person starts to create private time for themselves, the house snores it. Away from the noise and opinions, even just 30 minutes a day with a connect with something sacred, the house snores it. The music reminds them who they used to be, of who ye before the world convinced them to become someone else. Snores it. That private act of expression becomes a mirror, showing them their true reflection again. And maybe slowly, they find the courage to follow it for likes, not for fame, but because it feels like home. Privacy gives you that freedom. It removes the pressure to perform. It lets you explore without fear of failure. When no one is watching, you're allowed to stumble, to try again, to be messy, to evolve. The house snores it. And that's where real growth happens. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not in the applause, but in the silence. A house snores it. Because when you're not performing for others, you're finally showing up for yourself. House snores it. Even relationships look different. You learn to connect with your authentic self in private. You stop seeking someone to complete and start becoming whole on your own. You no longer fall into codependency or people pleasing. Instead, snores it. You enter relationships a full person aware of your needs, your boundaries, your worth. And that shift changes everything. Love becomes a choice, not a craving. Connection becomes sacred, not desperate. You begin to attract people who resonate with your truth, rather than those who are drawn to your mask. Another example, snores it. Someone goes through a heartbreak. Their first instinct is to post cryptic messages to show the world they are fine. Snores it. To pretend moved on. But what if instead they choose silence? What if they allow themselves to heal in private? A house snores it. Cry without filters. Reflect with interference. Rebuild their strength without needing to prove anything. That kind of healing is powerful. Because when they finally emerge, snores it. They're not just pretending to be strong, they actually are. Privacy gave them the space to fall apart and come back together. not as a performance, but as a process. How's it? Authenticity is not something you find in a crowd. It's found in the quiet. House snores it. When the noise fades and you're left alone with yourself. It's not always comfortable. It requires facing your fears, your flaws, your forgotten dreams. But it's worth it, because once you know who you truly are, the world can no longer manipulate you. You stop needing permission to be yourself. You stop shrinking to fit in. You stop chasing approval because you already accept yourself. And that kind of awareness cannot be shaken by opinions. So privacy be your practice. Let it be the sacred time where you come home to yourself. A house snores it. Read a book without posting about it. Take a walk without tracking it. Meditate without sharing a quote. Snores it. Dance in your room with no watching. Write a journal that no one else will ever read. These moments may seem small. How's it? But they're where your soul breathes. They are where your essence returns. And in those quiet moments, you'll discover the most beautiful truth of all. Being yourself is not something you have to earn, is it? It's something you already are. Privacy just helps you remember it. Not everyone deserves access to you. A house snores it. It's a simple sentence, but it carries the weight of a life lesson that too many people learn too late. Your time, your energy, your attentions are not unlimited resources. They are sacred. They are powerful. And if you give them away carelessly to anyone and everyone who asks, you will find yourself constantly depleted, constantly misunderstood, and constantly disappointed. You are not being rude by setting boundaries. You are being wise. You are earning your worth. Because access to you should be earned, not assumed. We live in a world where availability is expected. Reply fast. Answer every call. Respond to every message. Be there for everyone all the time. But the truth is, when you're always available to others, you often become unavailable to yourself. And slowly, without realizing it, you forget who you are, what you want. Snores it. You start living in response, responding to people's problems, their needs, their emotions. Your own soul goes silent in the background, waiting patiently for you to listen. Think about your favorite device, your phone or your laptop. You don't hand it to strangers, right? You protect with a password. You charge it when it runs low. You update it when need. You handle with care. Why? A house snores it because it's valuable, because it contains important information. Without it functioning well, your whole day might fall apart. Nothing but your hand, your spirit hand, they're even more important. And yet, how often do we break them the same way? How often do we say yes when we want to say no? How often do we let draining people walk in and out of our lives like they own the place? There's a powerful difference between kindness and access. You can be kind to everyone. Be polite. Lend a hand. But that doesn't mean everyone gets a seat at your table. It doesn't mean everyone gets to hear your dreams, your fears, highs, snores, your truths. Your inner circle should be sacred, filled with people who respect you, support you, who pour into you the way you pour into them, and those who don't. They don't get the same version of you, not out of revenge, not out of ego, out of wisdom. Or a house snores it. Let's say you hire a garden. It's beautiful, but it needs tending. It needs time, sunlight, water, and care. Now imagine you leave the gate open and let anyone walk through. Some admire the flowers, some step on them, pick them without asking, and others leave trash behind. Before long, your garden looks tired, not because it wasn't beautiful, but because it wasn't protected. Your thought is the same. Your mind is the same. House snores it. They thrive when surrounded by the right energy, and they shrink when constantly exposed to chaos. House snores it. There's no need to explain your boundaries to everyone. Some people will call you distant. Others may call you selfish. House snores it. Let them. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always see your self-respect as a threat. But over time, house snores it. The ones who truly value you will understand. They will honor the space you keep, not as a wall, but as a form of self-care. Think about someone who constantly drains your energy. They only call when they need something. They rarely ask how you're doing or snores it. Every conversation leaves you feeling heavier than B. Now ask yourself, why do they still have access to you? Because of history. Because you don't want to see mankind. How's it? Those are not good enough reasons to sacrifice your peace. Saying but no, it doesn't make you cruel. It makes you clear. It makes you conscious. It makes you in control of an emotional world. Or think about someone who once hurt you, but now wants to come back into your life with no apology, grain, no chains. Just as a friendly message or a random call snores it. You're not obligated to open the door again. Forgiveness is your right, but re-entry is your choice. You can forgive someone and still choose not to let them back in. Because healing means learning from the pain, not repeating it. The older you get, the more you realize that peace is more precious than popularity. That depth matters more than drama. A house snores it. And that being selective with your access doesn't make you lonely, it makes you powerful. Hazards. You have fewer people in your life, but the quality, beauty of your relationships will be richer. You'll have more time for yours, your growth, your joy. House snores it. You'll start attracting people who respect space instead of invading it. People who appreciate the privilege of knowing you, of taking it for granted. You are not for everyone, and that's okay. You were never meant to be. Your energy is rare. Your presence is valuable. Your story is still unfolding. But protect it. Sorted. Be open to eyes. Let people earn the right to sit beside you. Snores it. Because not everyone deserves access to your light, and the more you protect it, the brighter it shines.